More than a few times, when someone has suddenly become successful, they've said something like, "It looks like I'm an overnight success, but in reality, this has been 10 years in the making. I've been working for this for 10 years." If you've heard someone say this, have you ever stopped to wonder, what were they doing for those 10 years? This was a thought that came into my minds a few years ago, and I've been thinking about it ever since. What do people do during that time when they're not yet successful? What are they trying to do? Well, whatever they're trying to do, and there's a lot of different things they might be trying to do, it's not working. And that's the common denominator here. They're trying to do things that just aren't working. So maybe they're focused on building their website, but they have no traffic to it. Or maybe they're really trying to get traffic, but people aren't interested in what they're trying to sell. Or maybe they're trying to talk to a specific type of person, but it's the wrong customer that they're going after. There's so many mistakes they could be making, but if they're not seeing success yet, then they're doing something wrong. There's some reason why they aren't seeing the success that they're really looking for. But here's the thing. There is one key step that they could take in the process of trying to start and build their business that can completely eliminate all of these missteps. Now, of course, I'm not saying here that they can avoid all mistakes, but there's this one step that they can do, and it's called validating their business idea. And if they do this one thing, they can shave years off their entrepreneurial journey. And here's why the step of validating your business is so powerful. If you don't take the time to do this, then you're spending a lot of time trying to build a business that you don't know for sure if there's really demand in the market for. You don't know for sure if anyone wants your product, and if someone does want your product, you don't know exactly who those people are, and you don't know what message will best communicate the value of your product to them. At the very beginning, of course, you just have to decide what business to start. I did a video about that just a few weeks ago, earlier on in this free series called Small Business 101. But today, we're going to talk about the most important next step to take after you have decided what business to start, and that is validating your business idea to make sure that the idea you've chosen really has potential before you go on to invest a lot of time into building this business. Because I don't want you to waste your time building the wrong business. The number one indicator that your business idea really is valid, that there's really demand for it, that it can really be successful in the long run, is whether or not people are actually interested in paying real good money for this product that you are interested in selling. And in order to figure out whether or not people want to pay for it, you need proof. And the only way you can really get that proof for sure is to have people actually pay for it. And so then you come up to this chicken and egg problem. You see that you need to make sales to prove your business idea, but you haven't built your business yet, so you're not sure how to make sales. And this is why so many people waste so much time building their business before they have the proof. They don't know how to get those first sales. Here's one of the main reasons why so many people have such a hard time figuring out how to solve this problem. They're trying to copy gurus, or even just people who are already successful in business. Now, I am such a proponent of learning from people who've gone before you, people who have already figured it out, people who have achieved what you want to achieve. But sometimes there can be some problems with this. Sometimes you're comparing your day one to someone else's year 10, for example. And not only can that be emotionally challenging and it could cause you to feel like a failure, but completely aside from that, it also means that you might be trying to implement strategies that they're using right now to be successful with what they're doing, which now is different from what you're trying to do in the moment. So for example, let's say that you wanted to build a company like Microsoft. And so you said, okay, I'm going to look at what Bill Gates does each day, and I'm just going to do exactly the same things that Bill Gates does today. And obviously, Bill Gates, that's where I'm trying to aim. So if I copy Bill Gates' actions, I will get Bill Gates' same results. How do you think that would go? Probably not very well, right? And the problem wouldn't just be Bill Gates. The problem would be that you're trying to copy the actions of someone who's in a completely different place than you are, and you're expecting to get the same results. And unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. Now, this might have seemed a little bit ridiculous of an example because, first of all, of course, you wouldn't do that. And second of all, nobody would. So what am I even talking about here? Nobody is going to copy the daily routine or the daily tasks of someone else and expect to get the same results. But what they do all the time is they try to copy the business strategies of a business that is much further along in the growth process. Especially, they try to copy the marketing strategies. So they look at this business that is where they want to take their company, and they say, okay, I see this company posting on Facebook 3 times every day, posting on Instagram 3 times every day, posting 27 tweets a day, putting out a YouTube video every day, putting out content on their website, articles, things like that. So then they think, okay, so that's what I need to do. I need to post on all these different social media platforms this many times per day because that's what I see these other companies doing. Or they think, I need to invest a lot of money into paid advertising because that's what I see these successful companies doing. But like I already pointed out, you're not going to get the same results if you're in a different place than the person you are copying. If you start out driving in your car and you follow the same instructions that someone else used to get to the destination that you want to get to, but they started in a completely different place than you, well, those directions are not going to work out for you. So if you want to quickly get your first sales, then you need to use a really different strategy than another company that is further along in the process would use to get their next 10 sales. So with that in mind, let me quickly run you through the 6-step process that you can follow to validate your business idea and make sure that you are on the right track. First step, super simple, just choose one idea to validate. Super simple, but still, so many people miss this. So many people can't make up their mind between a few different ideas they're considering, and a lot of this comes from really a scarcity mentality. They're not really sure that any of their ideas are going to work out or that they're going to be successful, and so they try to keep a thumb in a lot of different pies. They try to keep a foot on a lot of different pieces of land. They try to spread themselves way too thin because they are scared that if they limit themselves to just one idea, it's not going to work out and they're going to fail or lose everything or never find real success. But really, especially when you're just trying to validate an idea, you need to go all in on one idea just for a couple months so that you can figure out for sure whether that idea has potential or not. So start out by choosing just one idea to validate. It doesn't mean that you're saying no to the other ideas forever. It just means you're going to focus on this one idea for a short time. Second, you need to clarify the main result that your product creates. So you don't need to figure out all of the details of your product. You don't need to create your product. You just need to clarify what is the one main outcome that when someone buys and uses my product, they're going to get. If, for example, you're thinking to build a vacuum cleaner, well, that one main result is they are going to get cleaner carpets in their house. Or if you're building an online photography course, then that one main result will be that your students will improve their photography skills. Or maybe you're an editor and the one main result that your clients will get is that they will have error-free manuscripts. Step number 3 is you need to talk to people who want this outcome. You need to find out why they want it, what is stopping them from having it already, and other ways that they might describe this same outcome. When I say talk to people, I mean exactly that. You need to get out there and talk to real people who actually say they want this outcome. Now, it might seem like this will be really tough and you don't know anyone who wants this outcome. It's actually super easy. Even if you don't have much of a following at all, any real audience, you can still just post on social media on each of your different platforms and just say that you're doing some market research for a new business that you're starting or for a new service that you're thinking to offer, and that you are interested in talking to 5 people who want to XYZ, who want to get their books edited, who want to have their website designed, who want to learn how to improve their photography skills, who want to have cleaner carpets in their house. Not only are people going to respond to these posts because they're just curious and they're your friends so they want to help you out, but also because since they want this outcome and you are talking about this outcome, they're hoping that they can get a little bit of free help. I know a lot of people can find this step to be one of the most difficult parts of the process, and it's also, honestly, the most important, but a lot of people skip it because they think it's going to be hard. So I put together a free checklist that will guide you step by step through the process of how to get people on the phone and then what to ask them after you are actually talking to them. The fourth step for validating your business idea is to create a beta version of your product that you can sell. So remember, we're trying to get your first sales here so that you can prove people want to actually pay money for what you're selling. So in order to do that, you're going to have something to sell. But this is another spot where people really get hung up and waste so much time because they'll spend months and months and months building this product before they've ever gotten any sales. And then they might find out that nobody wants what they built and they've wasted all that time. You need to create a minimum viable product, MVP. This is going to be the simplest version of your product you can create that still gives people that outcome you identified earlier on. So it's going to be a really simple prototype version of your vacuum cleaner, or it's going to be just a really short online course. Maybe it just has 3 lessons in it that teach people the basics that they need to know to improve their photography skills. Or it's going to be a really simple version of your editing service package, or it could be the option for someone to have just 1 chapter of their book edited, but for a really low price. After creating your beta product as quickly as possible, then you are ready to launch your beta product, which is step 5 of the validation process. First of all, you are not trying to get the maximum number of sales possible. I know that that might seem counterintuitive, but there's a few reasons why I actually want you to avoid going after a big number of sales. First of all, just because it will take more time to get more sales. And we're trying to get through this validation process as quickly as possible so that you can go on to the process of actually building your business and scaling beyond this. But second, because if you're trying to go after the maximum number of sales, you're going to use different tactics than if you're just trying to get your first sales really quickly. And those tactics might not work for you if you haven't yet validated your product idea. So I just want you to focus on getting your minimum number of sales that you need to validate as quickly and effectively as possible. So what is that minimum number? Well, I would recommend that you are aiming for a minimum, a bare minimum of 5 sales, but this does depend on how expensive your product is. So for a lot of businesses, earning your first $1,000 is going to be the threshold that pushes you beyond this validation point. You can say, yes, people really do want to pay money for my product. But if you're selling a product that is on the more expensive side, so you'd only need to get 1 or 2 clients in order to hit that $1,000 mark, then I do want you to aim to get at least 3 clients for your service. And ideally 5 or more, 5 to 10, because that is when you'll really see that several people want your product. You're easily able to sell it to several different people. And then on the flip side, if you're selling something that's really inexpensive, like perhaps copies of your book, something that's only $5 or $10 or $15, then you don't need to get that full $1,000 because you don't need that many different customers to prove people want your product. So instead, I would just aim that you are going to get at least your first 20 customers, and that will be enough to validate your idea. Now, of course, these numbers are not a hard and fast rule. They're just guidelines to give you a target to aim at. Now, I don't want this video to get too long, but let's talk about those marketing strategies that are going to work to get your first few sales for at least a minute or so here. The strategies that will work the very best are going to be very personal and very direct sales strategies. So it's going to be the complete opposite from posting on social media and trying to pitch your product that way. That's very impersonal and very indirect. You're not actually showing people the product. You're not talking one-to-one to people. Instead, we want to do things like post and ask people to DM you and then have a conversation in your DMs, or email people you actually know. Tell everyone that you know about your new product. Okay, maybe not everyone you know, but tell a bunch of people you know about your new product, even if they are not the right people. Don't try to sell it to them. Just tell them about this new cool thing that you're making and ask them to tell you if they know anyone who might be interested, or to share it with anyone who they know who might be interested. There's a pretty good chance that you don't know anyone who is your target customer and wants to buy what you're trying to sell, but there is a high probability that someone you know knows someone who is your perfect dream customer. What I really want you to avoid as you are trying to get these first few sales is using mass marketing tactics. This is actually really good news because it means you don't have to go out there and try to get a bunch of visibility or a lot of momentum, but instead you just need to talk to real people who you already have connections with. Finally, step 6 of the validation process is just to keep an open mind. Really, this is important. It can be so easy to make this black and white issue of you either succeed or you fail. You either get those first 5 sales or you don't and you're a failure. But really, it's not like that at all because the validation process is successful whether or not your business is actually validated. Because you either learn that people do want what you're trying to sell, or you learn that they don't. And either way, you are successfully learning what you were trying to learn, which is this the right business idea? Now, if you're not able to get those first 5 sales or earn that first $1,000 really quickly, then of course you can go back to the drawing board, do some more interviews with prospective customers, learn more about them, and try again with that same business idea. Or you can decide to test a different business idea. But what you've been able to do is cross off your first attempt off your list and know that that was not the right course. And you can quickly go through and test several very different product ideas, or you can try different marketing strategies to sell the same one until you find one that works. But this is going to be a much faster iteration process than trying to build an entire business and then find out whether or not people want it. And it also means that you're going to be learning so much very valuable information along the way. Because you're going to talk to real people and then you're going to actually get out there and sell your product and deliver it to your customers, you are going to learn exactly who these people are, why they want your product, what obstacles they're facing that you can help them overcome and that you need to talk to them about in order to help them understand how your product can actually help them and how your product can help them overcome those obstacles. And so you're just going to learn everything about these people that you need to know in order to effectively sell your product and effectively help them. If you take one thing away from today's video, I want you to know that your first $1,000 can be the most important money you ever earn. Really. Now, no doubt about it, earning this first $1,000 isn't going to be a walk in the park. It's going to be a bit challenging. But here's the thing. You can either have a challenging first $1,000 and then a challenging second $1,000 and a challenging third $1,000, and it can just keep being difficult to earn money with your business. Or you can have a challenging first $1,000, but a first $1,000 that you earn very strategically, so you learn a lot in the process. And then the next $1,000 can be a lot easier, and money can be easier and easier to earn the more you earn. But only if you set yourself up for success from the start and you make sure that you earn that first $1,000 really strategically using this process that I just outlined. So you're actually learning in the process. At Startup Society, the company that I run, we run an 8-week accelerator program where we work with students to guide them through this entire process. If you'd be interested in doing that together with us, then check the description down below for a link where you can sign up for the waiting list for the program. As I mentioned earlier on, there's also a free checklist you can grab for the process of interviewing prospective customers about why they want your product and the obstacles that they're facing. So check the description for the link to download that free checklist as well. This video is episode number 4 of our free Small Business 101 series. If you found the episode helpful, please hit that like button to help us out, and also be sure to subscribe for future episodes. That's all for today's video. I'll see you back here again next week, same time, same place.